Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, we're going to look at how to compare changes using Git. So to be more specific, we're going to be looking at three comparisons. We're going to compare local repo to our working directory, then we're going to compare our local repo to our staging area, and then finally we're going to compare local repo to a commit in our commit history. So let's go ahead and open this folder. I've named it My Project, and inside I will open a new Git bash window. Now notice how I've already initialized Git inside this folder, which means that we can start using our Git commands. I'll start by using git status just to show everyone that we don't have anything in the working directory or in the staging area. I'll go ahead and just add a new file here called my code, and inside of the file I will add the word, well, we'll start with hello, and then we'll start with the word hola, which is Spanish for hello. And then for my Indian friends, I will add the word namaste, which I believe means hello in Hindi. So I'll go ahead and save it. Now notice how I've um, basically made two things here, right? So we added the file and we made those changes. So if I do git status, you'll see that Git has picked up those changes. We'll go ahead and add those to the staging area, and then we'll just create our first commit. And I'll just call it Um, I'll just add the words first commit to the commit message. And there you go, we have our commit. If I do git log, you'll see it right there. All right, so here, if I do git status, you'll see that everything is clean, right? And the reason for that is because we don't have any pending changes, right? We've basically committed our changes, and there is nothing in the working directory, there's nothing in the staging area. So what we're going to do now is basically we're going to modify this file, okay? And so what we're looking at right now is the current status of our local repo. So this right here is our local repo. These three things, okay? If we make any changes to this, those new changes will then be part of the working directory. Okay, so one more time. The way things are right now, okay, this state is our local repo. If we make changes, those changes will be part of the working directory. All right, so let's go ahead and make some changes. And we're basically just going to delete these two lines of code here. Okay, so we'll do that, and then we'll do file save. Now, if I do git status, you'll see that it has picked up those changes. All right, so there are basically two versions of this file. The first version is the local repo, right, which was the 3 lines. And then the new version is inside of the working directory, which is, well, basically this. It's just 1 line. Okay, so we're going to compare local repo to working directory, and so we do that by typing git diff and then the name of the file, which in this case is mycode.txt. We press enter, and it's going to give you this output here. All right. All right, so let's go through this line by line. Right here it says diff dash dash get a slash mycode.txt b slash mycode.txt. Basically what this is saying is Git is looking at two versions of this file, version A and version B. Okay? Version A is the local repo, and version B is whatever's in the working directory. That's all this means, okay? All right, in this line right here where it says index, okay, all these really are, these are what's called unique hash identifiers, and basically they create unique IDs for each of these versions. But honestly, I've never really had to use this before. I've been using Git for a while, and I've never really had to use any of that information. I suppose if you're diving deep into the inner workings of Git, this information might be useful, but for most people, it's really something that we don't need. So we'll just go ahead and skip that. This right here, okay, these symbols, so the minus signs and the pluses, these are called markers, okay? And basically, it doesn't matter how many changes you've made. So we could have made 100 changes. We're not going to see 100 minus signs here or 100 plus signs here, okay? Doesn't matter how little or how many changes we make, it's always going to show 3 here. And basically what this is saying is, hey, wherever you see a minus sign, we're really talking about version A. Okay? I'll say that one more time. Git is really just saying, hey, whenever you see a minus sign, we're really just talking about version A. Okay? And down here, it's the same thing, except for, version B. So, hey, whenever you see a plus sign, we're really just talking about version B. That's it. Okay? And remember, version A is local repo, version B is whatever's in the working directory. All right, so this right here is what they call the code hunk, okay? Or sometimes they call it the chunk, okay? And that's really, it's sort of what it sounds like. It's a chunk of code that has been affected. So here it's basically highlighting, okay? So this right here, this isn't -1. It just means, hey, in version A, the chunk of code that was affected, okay, was lines 1 through 3, which is basically true, right? We had, in the old version, we had lines 1, 2, and 3. All right. And then in the new version, okay, that's what the plus means. It means in version B, we now have 1 line. Okay. Git loves to look at things by lines of code. Okay. Just keep that in mind. All right. So again, this isn't saying -1, it's saying in version A, the chunk that we're highlighting here, okay, is lines 1 through 3, okay? And in the new version, we're basically looking at line 1, just this, okay? It's just giving you a scope. It's giving you a scope of the context for what was in version A and what was in version B. That's all, okay? All right, so this right here is probably a little more interesting because now we start looking at the actual context, or I'm sorry, the contents of the files. So here, in version A, okay, in version A, we basically had hello, hola, namaste, right? That's what the minus sign means. The minus sign means this was in version A, okay, the old version, the local repo, okay? All right, so it had hello, hola, namaste. This right here, where it says no new line at the end of file, it's literally that. It just means there's no new line at the end of file. What is a new line? Well, this right here. You see how the blinking cursor just went down here? That's a new line. So if I had saved the file this way, this would not have shown, okay? Because there is a new line at the end of file. All right? So don't let this confuse you. All right, so and then here it's basically just saying, you see the plus sign there? It's saying in version B, we have hello, okay? Now they also use color identifiers just to um, better represent version A and version B. Red is obviously version A, it's the old one, right? And then version B is in green, okay? So if you're, um, if it makes it easier to identify both through color, then they have that as well. So that always works, okay? If not, then you'd use the symbols, but they basically mean the same thing, all right? Okay, so that is that. Okay, remember we compared local repo to working directory. So what we're going to do now, okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to move those changes over to the staging area. All right, if I do get status, you'll see that my changes are now in the staging area, right? If I do get diff mycode.txt, which is just what I showed you guys a little earlier, right? It was to compare local repo to working directory. If I press enter, it's not going to show me anything. It's not going to show me anything. And that's because the working directory is now empty. We've moved those changes from the working directory over to the staging area. So we're now going to compare local repo to staging area. And we do that by typing git diff dash dash staged. All right. All right. If we press enter, it's going to give us the same exact output. Okay. See? Everything is exactly the same. And the reason for that is because we haven't added any additional changes, right? We've basically just grabbed those changes and we're moving them over. Okay, but remember, you can have stuff inside of the working directory and also have stuff in the staging area. So um, these ways of comparing files, or I should say, these ways of comparing changes will definitely be very useful, especially if you have the working directory and staging area full of changes. All right, so now what we're going to do is, since we have our changes in the staging area, we're going to go ahead and create a commit out of those. Okay, so we'll move them over to a commit. And so I'll go ahead and add the words second commit to the commit message. I'll press enter. And if I do git log, you'll see that we have two commits now, right? Okay, so we've compared local repo to working directory. We've compared local repo to staging area. Now let's compare local repo to this last commit. Okay, we do that by typing git diff and then this notation here. Okay, if you've seen my other videos, you might know how it works, but if not, that's okay. I'll explain it right now. Basically, when you want to reference a commit, you have to type in head tilde and then followed by a number. So tilde is this squiggle character here, and you can find it under your escape key on your keyboard. All right, it's right there. So you type in head tilde and then 1, okay? Or, well, you type in a number, and basically what that number means is how far back of a commit you want to go to. So because we want to go back to the last one, right, the last commit that we created, we would type in 1. Okay. If we wanted to go back 2, then we would type in 2. If we wanted to go back 3, 3. If we wanted to go back 4, 4. Of course, you know, something like 4 wouldn't work in this case because we only have 2 commits here. All right. So we're just wanting to compare our local repo to our last commit. Okay, so type 1, press enter, and you'll see that the output is exactly the same, right? Because again, these changes went from working directory to staging area to commit. Okay. All right. So hopefully this will help everybody a little bit. I know it can be a little confusing, but with just a little bit of practice, I'm sure you guys could get really um, good at used to using Git. And remember that you can have the working directory and staging area and even obviously the commit history populated with stuff, but it's always good to know that you can compare your local repo with different stages of the Git flow like that. All right. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.